Negeri ini dikuasai oleh fasis yang sewenang-wenang menginjak-injak hak rakyat.
Bersatu serati, cabut fungsi ABRI.
Hello everyone, welcome to my special report. I'm Giva Fariski from 11 Cafe 2. Today I will recite one of the darkest chapter in Indonesian reform era, the Semanggi tragedy. This was a heartbreaking event that left the world for the victim and their family, and stand up as powerful remember of our nation fight for democracy and human rights. Let us take a closer look at what really happened and why the tragedy still holds relevance today. In Semanggi War, after President Suharto resigned in May 1998, B.J. Habibie assumed the president. The government and parliament or stand still dominated by the military and Golkar party, planned to pass the state of emergency law. Student protests, fearing that the law would restore authoritarian power and suppress civil liberties. Massive demonstrations took place at many campuses, especially in Jakarta. The chronology, the peak of the protests occurred on November 13, 1998, near the Semanggi area in South Jakarta. Protest attempts to march toward the parliament building but were blocked by a joint force of police and military. A major clash broke out. The security force used live ammunition, tear gas, and tactical vessels to disperse the crowd. The victim, 11 people, were killed, mostly students and civilians. Hundreds were injured from gunfire and physical clash. One of the well-known victims was Elsa Sarapung, a fellow university student. In Semanggi 2, September 24, 1999, occurring during the final session before President Habibie term ended. Student opposition the special session of the People Constituent Assembly or MPR and demanded the abolition of ABRI dual function. The military dual role in politics and security. The call for total reform including military reform. The chronology protest escalated again near Atmajaya University and the Semanggi area. On September 24, 1999, security force once again opened fire on protests. The victim, 12 people, were killed, including students and civilians. One of the iconic victims was Yap Yun Hop, a student from Faculty of Engineering at Atmajaya University.
History will remember this as the day the voice of the people of Indonesia was finally heard. Suharto has ruled this country for longer than most of these students have been alive. But today, after 32 years, he's gone. This was their revolution, though at the moment they say, an incomplete one.
Saya memutuskan.
In a halting voice, their president was broadcasting to the nation, saying he was sorry, begging forgiveness for his mistakes, and then announcing he was stepping down.
Berhenti.
The handing over of power to his vice president, B.J. Habibie, a close friend of Suharto, handpicked by him for the job, and a man tainted by the same allegations of corruption and cronyism.
Is, how do you call it, a puppet, puppet. A puppet of Suharto. So what's the difference then?
With loyal Suhartos still in power and the former president protected by the army, the students saw reformation slipping away.
Sejak pertama Suharto turun dan digantikan oleh Habibie, kami sudah menolak Habibie karena kami sudah tidak percaya dengan hasil pemilu sebelumnya. Kami sudah tahu seperti apa Habibie, track recordnya bagaimana. Kami sudah tahu dia juga sama-sama raja KKN.
Tensions grew as both sides prepared for the upcoming special session of parliament, called to prepare for new elections. The students rejected the session as the delegates were all Suharto appointees and pressed for a people's session with true representation. Under a policy called dual function, the army maintained internal security as well as external defense. Though the stated purpose of dual function was to maintain order in a nation rent by inter-ethnic violence and social unrest, dual function became, in effect, a mandate to shoot Indonesians as well as foreign enemies. As the rallies became more frequent, drawing students from every institute of higher learning onto the streets in boisterous gatherings, the military overreacted, fielding thousands of fully armed troops to confront peaceful demonstrators. In the military's eyes, the sons and daughters of the Indonesian middle class were an implacable enemy of the nation.
The Semanggi tragedy is not just a peak in story, it is the echo of silent voice, broken hopes and cry for justice that still go unanswered. By remembering and speaking about it, may we continue to uphold the spirit of reform and fight for justice. For those who are no longer with us, I'm Giva Fariski. Thank you for watching and see you the next report.